Martin Popoff here from the Contrarians, back again with another edition of Reliving Old Reviews as a Useless Tool of Confusion. This is a show where we look at an old review and I read it, I review it, I analyze it, we see what we think of it. And this is going to be an interesting one. I might have read this review years ago, but I don't remember it. So I'm going in cold. That's how I like to do these to keep myself interested, right? We're looking at AC/DC High Voltage. And by the way, you can get my AC/DC at 50 book, fairly recent. It looks at 50 career highlights, big coffee table book, full color throughout. You can get that at martinpopoff.com. I sign them, send them out from the office here. There's PayPal buttons here, all that, and about another 100 books that I've done in print. I think that's my only AC/DC book ever. I believe so, yeah. So AC/DC High Voltage. We're looking at High Voltage here. This is from New Musical Express, so The Enemy, July 3rd, 1976. This could be interesting. What in the world is somebody going to say about AC/DC in 1976? We're going to find out. This is a review by Phil McNeil, and what he says is, they start the way they intend to go with a track called It's a Long Way to the Top, which also happens to be the current single, but somehow the fun begins and ends with that number. And just for a little context, so we know that High Voltage is the first internationally released AC/DC album. It's a hodgepodge album. There's the original Australian High Voltage, there's TNT, and this is a bit of a hodgepodge, different album cover, and then different again when it comes out in North America. But yeah, that's what he's looking at here. And again, back to 1976, back to July 76, when punk is already in full swing. We don't have any punk albums yet in the UK. I bring this up because I'm wondering if he's going to refer to punk here at all. Probably not. But AC/DC at times was tried to be thrown into that punk bucket by the labels and whatnot, a little bit in the ads, I believe. I can't remember where it occurs, but it's a kind of an interesting idea. And I definitely remember that the guys in interviews would have to respond to the idea of punk blowing up sort of thing. And they would sneer and put it down and say, we're not that, we're a rock and roll band or whatever they would say. Right. Okay. Back to the review. It's a Long Way starts with Malcolm Young's dirge-like rhythm guitar, champing on the ugly Sabbath chords that seem to constitute the full range of his expression. So there's a funny thing, right? That's why I like doing this show. I like that they're often in these reviews, they don't have anything appropriate to compare something to, so they have to pick something else heavy. And in this case, I mean, when are you ever gonna hear a reviewer say that an AC/DC album is full of Sabbath chords, right? Okay. Then his younger brother Angus blasts in with an archetypical heavy riff while Phil Rudd warms up his bass drum. And the last foundation is laid by Rudd's robotic use of full kit and Mark Evans' anonymous bass. So there's some insights there. AC/DC has a robotic rhythm section. It is repetitive. It is simple. It is robotic. Mark Evans, anonymous bass. So yeah, robotic Phil Rudd, anonymous bass. It's kind of true. That's what AC/DC is. So he's here. Phil is wrapping his head around this strangely simple music. He completely gets it wrong by comparing it to Sabbath, but he's in his descriptives. He's kind of getting it right. Finally, Bon Scott makes his entry, screeching in a thin Scott's voice, although AC/DC are Australian. Scott and the Youngs were once Scottish, and Scott still has a strong accent, riding on the highway. Okay. So he brings up the fact that they have, links, roots back to Scotland, of course. It's not Born to Be Wild, but one of the three pay-ins to the boring old rock life on this album. Interesting. So he's, again, another old hard rock reference in Born to Be Wild. Also present are two equally thought-provoking slices of self-adulation and four unstintingly unromantic sex songs. That's what rock's all about in it. Satisfaction, Jumpin' Jack Flash. Sad to say even the Stones have forgotten that those songs were actually cliches. So again, we have to bring up some other comparative. You see, he's subconsciously probably thinking of the Stones when he hears AC/DC, but he comes up with some things to compare it to on a lyrical basis, right? They weren't only rock and roll and a plague upon the thousands of latter-day cliche merchants who think they were. Not sure. That's a kind of a weird sentence. At least AC/DC's cliches make fairly good slogans. I'm not sure if that's good, but it does show strength of purpose. Anyway, to return to our test track, it chugs along on one chord till end of verse. When it blasts through a couple of predictable chord changes, in the middle, Angus pulls out a nasty solo, and that's about it. Kind of a good summation of AC/DC, right? Not a lot of chords, blast through with a nasty solo. Angus has this idea of strangling the guitar. I often kind of think in the future we're going to hear that idea of strangling the guitar neck from the likes of Slash and Zakk Wylde. But Angus kind of does that with his Chuck Berry style a little bit, right? And predictable chord changes. Yeah, that's AC/DC, right? We love them for it, but it's true. AC/DC are distinguished by the sleaze and slightly superior wordplay of their lyrics and their general high energy. Interesting. So yeah, even for 1976, there's a general high energy to this music. It's kind of true, but it's pretty weak tea compared to what we get later from AC/DC, and slightly superior wordplay. It's nice. He's noticing that from Bon. It's a Long Way makes a great single, and they're entertaining live, but a whole album is pretty unpalatable. Right. So that's kind of cool. Because High Voltage is vaguely unsatisfying in that it's just got this kind of monotonous, not particularly heavy, particularly loud, spare arrangements, conservative production values, kind of polite din all throughout the whole thing. So yeah, so he's finding that it is wearing on him a little bit because it is audaciously repetitive, right? You don't normally get bands wanting to be this repetitive, and that made AC/DC stand out. So there you go, a review from 1976 from The Enemy. Please like if you like this, or hit like right away, or whatever. Comment. I love reading the comments. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the Contrarians already. You can check out my audio podcast as well, History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff. Like I say, martinpopoff.com for all your book needs. Recently had the Guns N' Roses and the Maiden come out. Check out Grant Arthur. Grant's part of our channel as well, but he has his own channel, Grant's Rock Warehaus. So you can check that out as well. And yeah, we've got a Patreon and all that. It'd be nice if you subscribe to the Patreon, and that can get you on our panels and things. Anyways, there you go. Reliving old reviews is a useless tool of confusion. Go listen to some AC/DC.